Who should he play in the two Saturday wildcard games between the Bengals and Raiders and Patriots and Bills? It's time to break down those games here on a special Matchup Tuesday on Locked On Fantasy Football.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Vinnie Iyer, and I'm not doing this. I'm writing about NFL and fantasy football for sportingnews.com. We got your picks already straight up and against the spread. You can check out for the wildcard games. It's Super Wildcard Weekend. That means we have action on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So 2 games on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and a capper Monday night there, the Cardinals and the Rams. So our first ever Monday night wildcard game. So very exciting things developing here as we go through the playoffs. The only 2 teams not in action this week are the number 1 seeds, the Packers and the Titans. So they'll sit still and wait till these games play out. And we're going to break down these games for you. We'll start here on a Matchup Tuesday. So a little bit special, accelerating our week a little bit. So we're going to take 2 games with every show here. So we'll look at the 2 Saturday games. That would be Las Vegas at Cincinnati, and our rematch in the AFC East between New England and Buffalo. Then we'll have our Sunday games, which are great as well across the board. We'll have good action there, including the Cowboys, 49ers, and the Chiefs, Steelers, then Monday as well. So break that down all for you over the next 3 shows here on Locked On Fantasy Football. Before we dive into that, thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We're free and available to you on all platforms. I'm also happy to tell you that this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by OnlineGambling.com, the place for the latest gambling news and tips throughout the NFL playoffs. Visit OnlineGambling.com/NFL to get the edge over the competition throughout this year's playoffs. All right, time to start breaking down Raiders and Bengals. We'll do that in the first segment. We'll go to Bills Patriots there in our next segment. Then we will close looking at the overall playoff prediction here that I have for Sporting News, who's going to win Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles. So that all should sound good. Let's start with the Raiders-Bengals game. These Raiders are 6-point underdogs here on the road at Cincinnati. It's a 49.5 over-under, so pretty healthy for some points in this game. Let's start with the Raiders. And really, I'm not trusting Derek Carr. Just not a very good game last week against the Chargers, even though they won and outlasted them in overtime to get to this point and jump the Patriots here to play the 5-4 game in the AFC. Derek Carr, just can't trust him. This offensive line has been up and down. You got Trey Hendrickson, and this pass rush of the Bengals can get in his face. The Bengals secondary has also played pretty well of late. They are also very good in the middle of the field with Jesse Bates at safety, and we know the linebacker core very active there as well. So back 7 for the Bengals can make it tough on Derek Carr. I think he'll have some turnovers in this game. He'll take some sacks. He'll try to get rid of the ball quickly, but I think this is a messy game for Derek Carr on the road. So not playing him. You're going to play your principals for the Raiders. That's Hunter Renfrow, but I'm going to downgrade him here to a wide receiver 3. Now, the Bengals can struggle with inside coverage at times, but Renfrow, I think, just has a limited floor here and not too high of a ceiling if Derek Carr is going to be struggling. Now, you're playing Darren Waller for sure. The Bengals do give up digits to the tight end, so Waller should have a more regular role this week coming back. He had the knee and back issues. He was also on the COVID-19 list for Week 17. Played a few snaps there in Week 18, so they should unleash him more. So Darren Waller is the guy I like a little bit more than Hunter Renfrow in this game in terms of receptions and effectiveness and a chance for a touchdown. On the ground, Josh Jacobs is on fire here. He's had a couple 100-yard games, the first in a long time, including against the Chargers, ran over that defense. So Josh Jacobs is going to get the ball quite a bit to try to keep the Bengals offense off the field and also protect the Raiders defense, as well as make things a little bit easier on Derek Carr trying to make some big plays off play action, because he's got to throw downfield to match what Joe Burrow does on the other side. So Josh Jacobs, I do like quite a bit here. I would say in the upper end of the running backs this week based on the volume that he's going to get. Avoid Carr, and I think Waller is right up there, regular role. Renfro more looking at his usual wide receiver 2-3 borderline role for this game. So those are your principles. I wouldn't extend anywhere. I'm not going to go to Brian Edwards or Zay Jones or any of these other receivers here in this game. And if you're playing maybe the single game slate, you can look there, but I would still side more with the Cincinnati side of things. And the Bengals are going to blow out the Raiders, I think. I mean, the Raiders played deep into Sunday night, so I do like the Bengals to cover. I think they'll win big here. So I have them 34-17. I think they're going to win at least by a touchdown. So if they're really confident about that, the Bengals, remember, were able to rest Joe Burrow with that right knee injury. Joe Mixon did miss the game as well with COVID-19 against the Browns, but two rested principal players here for the Bengals. So I love Joe Burrow. They're going to unleash him and let him loose here. I don't care if there's Max Crosby and Casey Hayward on the other side. Jamar Chase, we saw what the Chargers were able to do with Justin Herbert. They've made a lot of big plays downfield. That's going to be great for Jamar Chase. Tyler Boyd also working in the middle of the field. It might be a little bit more limited. Keenan Allen was the quiet one against the Raiders. So he may not be needed as much, but I figure you're going to see a lot of your principal on the outside, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So I like them as two of the better wide receiver plays on the entire board in the fantasy football reality playoff version. So definitely like those outside receivers a little bit more than Boyd. I'm not going to go to CJ Uzama, even though the Raiders give up a lot to the tight end. Uzama didn't play last week. He was banged up. So not going to go there. They're going to get it done with their two outside guys. And I love Joe Mixon in this game. The game script should be positive. You should get a lot of carries here. Didn't play last week. I think that was probably good for the rest of his body. I know COVID-19 is tough, but again, not taking that extra wear against the Browns in a meaningless game is going to be pretty big. So I figure they're going to throw quite a bit with big plays aggressively with Joe Burrow outside to Higgins and Chase. Mixon is going to come in and play closer pretty well with 20-plus touches, as he usually does. Burrow should go over 300. Mixon should go over 100 here on the ground. So love that. And Mixon can also be a big part of the pass game. So I'm looking at 303 here for looking at Joe Burrow. I think I'm looking at 100 from scrimmage and at least one for Mixon. That's how good it is. And I like the Bengals defense this week. I think they're going to make a lot of plays. They're excited. They got to end that playoff drought. I mean, last time they stepped on the field in the playoffs and were winning a game, it was against the Raiders in 1991 in the playoffs. So it's been 20 years. The Bengals end that drought here and win another playoff game here to really help their fan base get excited about playing potentially the Titans or Chiefs next week. All right, so we broke down that game for you. Our next segment, we'll look at the Bills and Patriots in depth, the other Saturday game here on the slate. Before we do that, people think unusual circumstances mean complicated taxes, but for TurboTax Live experts, that's what makes things interesting. Life changes are exciting, and they usually have tax implications. Maybe you're a full-time employee, you decided freelance, and now you need some advice on how to file as a contractor. Maybe you started driving rideshare after your 9-to-5 job, or maybe you work in one state but live in another, and you need help reporting your income. Luckily, TurboTax Live is experienced experts dedicated to answering all of your tax questions, finding every deduction for you, and you can talk to them from your phone without ever having to leave your house. Whether you got married, had kids, or changed careers, TurboTax Live experts are ready to help you with your unique tax situation and get you the best tax outcome. To TurboTax Live experts, an interesting life can mean an even greater refund. Visit TurboTax.com to learn more. You do your thing. They've got your taxes. Intuit TurboTax Live. Let's continue the show, and we'll break down the Bills Patriots in a moment. Before we do that, again, let me remind you, thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We are free and available to you on all platforms, and we'll be here breaking down games all the way through Super Bowl 56, and we'll be here all through the offseason, free agency draft, breaking things down, advanced scouting for next season in fantasy football. So stick with us here all playoff long, all offseason long. We'll be talking fantasy football on Locked On Fantasy Football. Bills Patriots is our next game. The Bills are the home team in this one. The Bills won the division. They're now playing a 3-6 game. So the Patriots fell down to 6. That created this rematch here with the Raiders making the playoffs. Let's look at the Bills here, and let's start with them as the home team. Josh Allen, one of the better plays of the week. They let Josh Allen take over the game. The last time, these two teams won on the road in the regular season. So the Patriots are trying to do that again here as underdogs. It's a 4-point spread in favor of Buffalo, 43.5. So not a lot of scoring. but I think Josh Allen is going to do a lot of the damage here. Last time Devin Singletary ran well on the Patriots have been more vulnerable against the run. We saw that last week against Duke Johnson. So I do like Singletary to keep producing here, but they're going to hand it, I think, a little bit more to Josh Allen. So I think you're going to stick with your principles here. I wouldn't extend too much. The Patriots are very good at defending the tight end, so Dawson Knox might find it tough. I think Gabriel Davis and their extra receivers might find it tough. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen and Devin Singletary are your triplets that you're looking at in this game to be effective. But I would say you get more RB2 numbers from Singletary. I think the Patriots will make some adjustments against the run. They could be missing Christian Barmore. That's going to hurt up front against that Bills offensive line. So that could help Singletary. So Singletary's still red hot, but I think he'll cool down a little bit. I think you're looking at 80 yards there from scrimmage and maybe a score, a good chance for that as he's been pretty consistently used in the red zone. I think you're looking at 2 combined scores for Josh Allen in this game, playing off Stephon Diggs, having maybe 1 rushing score for Allen or 1 to a random receiver there, maybe 2 to Diggs in this game. But Diggs, J.C. Jackson, don't worry about it too much. He's still the principal receiver. Diggs did have success in both games against the Patriots secondary. So principles here, stick with those 3. Avoid Knox, not going to extend to Davis. We'll see about Emmanuel Sanders and the injury. Don't trust him. I don't trust Cole Beasley at all. So triplets for the Bills in this one. And I also like the Bills defense. I think they're going to bring it against Mac Jones. Good little sneaky stack there that you can look at in DFS, Singletary and the Bills defense here. And I think the Bills are going to play much harder and better on that side of the ball against Mac Jones here the third time, having seen the rookie quarterback twice, and the rookie quarterback deep in the playoffs is going to see a wall. So Mac Jones at transitioning to the Patriots, you cannot go there this week at all. It's a brutal matchup. Remember, the first matchup, the Patriots were all about the running game. Second matchup, Jones struggled. He's not played well the past few games. He did play well against the Jaguars, but in the games that were relevant against key teams, against the Colts there in week 16, against the Dolphins in week 18, did not see a good version of Mac Jones against 2 better defenses, and that continues here. But like anybody else, Hunter Henry has been the key target here. The Bills are pretty good against the tight end, but Henry should see a lot of targets here. No Tre'Davious White for the Bills, but still a very strong secondary with Teron Johnson and Levi Wallace. So Johnson working the slot and maybe working a little bit more on the outside. Wallace has been pretty good on the outside as well. So don't like anything in the Patriots receiving core tied with Mac Jones. So it really ties down to 3 players here. Hunter Henry keeping it up here. The Bills are pretty good at covering the tight end with Matt Milano and some other guys they have on the second level at safety, but I think they're going to go security blanket, play off the run here. So Henry should be pretty active in this game. And the 2 players I like the most, Damian Harris should keep playing through that hamstring injury, and Ramondre Stevenson. These 2 guys have come through in both Bills matchups. So, and a lot of Harris, a lot of Stevenson. The Patriots are going to try to grind this game, but I'm going to also avoid the Patriots defense in this one. The Bills figured it out last time. I think they'll build on that momentum here offensively as they're more balanced and more dangerous, versatile, multiple. That's how you beat the Patriots, and they will certainly be that with Josh Allen. So I do like the Patriots to cover, however. I like to score 23-20 Bills. So the Bills escape this one. That's how it should be, a grinding, low-scoring defensive battle between these 2 division rivals for the third time. All right. We will break down my overall Super Bowl predictions there. We'll talk about who we like to go deep into the playoffs and come out of it there in Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles. We do that in our last segment. Hey, fantasy football fans, this is Vinnie Iyer with incredible app everyone who buys gas needs to know about, Get Upside. My listeners are making up to 25 cents for every gallon of gas every time they fill up. Just download the free Get Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now. Use the promo code TOUCHDOWN and get a bonus 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's up to 50 cents cash back. Don't pay full price at the pump anymore. Get cash back using Get Upside. Just download the app for free and use the promo code TOUCHDOWN to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back in your first tank. Some people drive a lot, are making as much as $200 to $300 a month in cash back, and there's no catch. The cash back gets added right to your account. You can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use the promo code TOUCHDOWN to get up to 50 cents per gallon cash back in your first tank. All you have to do is enter the promo code TOUCHDOWN there at Get Upside to take advantage of this amazing bonus offer of Get Upside. We also told you at the top, this episode of Lockdown Fantasy Football was brought to you by OnlineGambling.com. We're all looking for an edge these days. I'd like to thank OnlineGambling.com for sponsoring today's Lockdown Fantasy Football show. If you don't know already, onlinegambling.com is a website dedicated to giving members the edge as gamblers throughout the playoffs. They're providing you with the best NFL tips, news, and more to help you make your bets as informed as ever. OnlineGambling.com gives gamblers the edge by providing the best and most trusted experience online every day, all day, inspiring every gambler in the world to beat the odds. Don't make emotional decisions with your hard-earned dollars. Make informed decisions with information sourced by experts only at OnlineGambling.com. Be sure to consult OnlineGambling.com before placing any of your bets here for the NFL playoffs. Make sure you visit OnlineGambling.com/NFL for all the latest gambling news and tips to give you the edge throughout the playoffs all the way through Super Bowl 56. Remember, OnlineGambling.com/NFL to make the most of this year's playoffs. All right, we will close the show here looking at our overall Super Bowl predictions here. Let's start in the NFC. Let's build it up a little bit. The Buccaneers, I really like. Tom Brady, it's hard to bet against him. We know they won as the number 5 seed wild card last year. They're the number 2 right now. Start in a good matchup against the Eagles here. Break that down in full. I do like the Buccaneers a lot, but I do like the Packers a little bit better. Remember how close it was in the championship game between those two teams last year? It really came down to that Scotty Miller long touchdown right before halftime. So Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, one more time. It's going to happen here. I do like the Packers to beat the Buccaneers this time. Now, the Cowboys are dangerous. The 49ers are dangerous. Unfortunately, both of those teams are the sleepers to steal it from the Bucs and Packers. They're playing each other in the wild card round. I'll break that game down for you on the next show here. But looking at it, it just sets up nicely. The Packers are getting the bye. Playing in Week 18 really helped. They tuned up a little bit, getting Lambeau Field. They want to get it right. They want to be able to win a championship in Lambeau Field. I think the weather will cooperate a little bit. The Bucs just not having Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown makes a big difference there. I think the Packers really having Al Lazard and some other weapons coming on strong here to help Devontae Adams. Now having A.J. Dillon, just as good as Aaron Jones in the backfield. They've reinforced their offensive strengths. They're also much better, I think, defensively, and they'll get healthier with Jair Alexander set to come back, and you can put Alexander on Mike Evans in that game. So overall, I like the matchup there that's leading to the Packers over the Bucs, or the Packers over someone else in that championship game, the Bucs or the Cowboys. So do like those developments here in favor of Green Bay. And I think the 2-3 game between Tampa Bay and Dallas could really beat up some teams. I do like the Packers to beat whoever comes out of the Cardinals and Rams game, given they both beat both teams in the regular season. So in the bracket, definitely going with the Packers in the NFC. In the AFC, I'm going with Kansas City. These are the favorites, but they're favorites for a reason here. Tennessee, you simply can't trust here. I think Tennessee is most likely to make a one-and-done scenario in the divisional playoffs. They're a little bit vulnerable. We'll see if Derrick Henry can return, but I'm going to trust the quarterbacks most in this one. So Rodgers and Brady there. I think if you look at the AFC, you're looking at Mahomes and Josh Allen, and you throw a little bit of Joe Burrow in there. So it's lining up well for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They're playing really well here defensively against all teams. They're also running the ball, committed to do that to help Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, adjusting his coaching philosophy. They're healthy. They're rested. The offensive line really playing well, especially in the interior with Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, the rookie. So I do like the Chiefs. Get there. Remember, we didn't have this matchup in the regular season because Jordan Love had to play. Aaron Rodgers was in the COVID-19 list. We get this here in the Super Bowl. We thought it could be last year's Super Bowl. Now it lines up for this year's Super Bowl. That tends to happen in the NFL. We got to wait a little bit to get to what we want, but it is chalk for sure. But I'm looking forward to that game because it's going to be awesome from a fantasy football perspective to go all in on there as the final game of the season. So Packers beat the Chiefs is my Super Bowl pick there at sportingnews.com. You can check all of our picks there at sportingnews.com, round by round, our bracket picks, all that good stuff there. But we'll break down each individual game for you as we go along here, Locked On Fantasy Football. So 2 games down today. We'll get 2 games tomorrow there. Then we'll do the 2 night games, Chiefs, Steelers, and Rams, Cardinals to close things out there on Matchup Thursday. So 3 matchup shows for you this week. Matchup Tuesday, Matchup Wednesday, Matchup Thursday. Thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. For Locked On Fantasy Football, This has been Vinnie Iyer. Make sure you have a great day and good luck here in going into these games, whether you're playing a single game slates in DFS, whether you've created a fantasy football league with your friends here just with the playoff teams. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of determining that what teams are going to go farther there and stacking your rosters to realize that. So if you're going to do that for these early games, I think you have to go with the two teams that you can trust most with the best quarterbacks in this one. That's Joe Burrow or Derek Carr. And easily on the other side, Josh Allen versus Mac Jones. So exciting times for sure in the playoffs. You can still play fantasy football, get in on it. Good time to maybe also try out the gambling here to see the spreads there. And if you want some more action, maybe you're looking to parlay or improve on your winnings from the regular fantasy football season. But good time to do that here. And we're going to help you along the way on Locked On Fantasy Football. Again, from that perspective, I do like the Bengals to take care of business, win by more than 6 points against the Raiders at home. The Bills to play a tight one and escape by a field goal. They're against the Patriots. Their final scores here, 34-17, Bengals over Raiders, and 23-20, Bills over Patriots. All right, we'll break down the games tomorrow for you. Matchup Wednesday, matchup Thursday. Have a good one. Locked On Fantasy Football. This has been Vinnie Iyer.